All right, good evening, Karen, Micaela, Nazarena. Thanks for being here. Thanks for waiting. All right, I was taking advantage. I was eating something because I couldn't eat before. So I'm going to work with you now. All right. Thanks again for being here on time. Today we have to kind of finish everything. Remember that we have classes on Monday. That's going to be the last class we have for the course. So it means we have two more classes today and Mondays, right? But today I'm going to try to finish everything or at least almost everything. So it means we're going to finish the lesson we have to cover today and we're going to start working the next lesson. If we finish the next lesson, it's great. It means that on Monday, we are only going to practice and we are only going to have the review of everything that we covered. All right. If you have questions, you can ask them on Monday. You can also have a debate, the last debate on Monday. But that's if, again, we get to finish everything today. Remember that you have also until that day, until Monday, to have everything on Pearson. All right. So I'm just going to show the grade book and you know how you're doing. All right. But remember that you have today, actually the final exam, it's available or it was available starting this morning. So you have today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and Monday to finish everything. The assignments for Unit 4, that you have them already there, and the final exam. Okay, so the final exam is already on Pearson. If you want to take it today, do it. If you want to take it on Monday after the class, do it. All right, but you have this entire weekend to take it. And once again, everything until Monday 11:59 p.m. because on Tuesday I'm going to check everything. I'm going to send the scores. All right, they always ask me the scores for any course the next day. The next course actually is going to start the following Monday. It means I'm going to show you here Monday 14th. Actually, no, sorry, November 14th. Yes, it's Monday 14th November. All right. So you are only going to have classes on Monday the 7th with me, but you don't have classes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, all of those days are going to be without classes, without conversations. You're going to start the next course. It means 8/12 on Monday, the 14th. Okay, that's something that they told me that I have to communicate. But again, that being the case, if we have more time, I still have to send the scores the following day, that is Tuesday. All right. So if you have questions about Pearson, about the platform, because everything is done, it's just you that have to complete that. Let me know, please, if you have any doubts. Okay, good. Again, if you have any doubts, you're going to let me know. You can raise your hands or you can simply turn on your microphone. Then we're good with Pearson. Hey, Karen, I think you have something.
No, no, teacher.
Okay, good. Thank you. So let's then go to our lesson. Okay, so we have the time again to work everything today, and on Monday it's going to be like more chill and we can practice a little bit and it's going to be more relaxing, let's say, okay, having those debates and not learning a specific detail. So let's go to the lesson. Remember that we started talking about passive causative. We didn't practice, that's what we're going to do today. But I want to know if you remember something about it. Remember that it was Monday. It was, well, the beginning of this week. We are Friday already. So what do you remember about passive causative to the ones that were on Monday with me? Anything about it? If not, again, I'm
Well,
going.
it
Yes,
is
tell me, Kat.
maybe it's when we, for example, we talk about something and we talk indirectly when we talk about an action, but we don't do this action, but other person do it, but it's not well, it's implied the sentence, but it's not exactly like she does her homework maybe, or she cleans the house.
Yes, yes, actually, what you're explaining is very well, Kat, and you're right. It's a sentence in which we are the subject, but we don't do the action. right? Someone else, and remember, be careful. If you say other person, other is for plural, so you should say another person does the action, right? And you're right, another person does the action because we are paying that person or we are forcing that person to do that for us, right? And actually, it's interesting, but it's not going to be considered informal. Actually, this is common in English, but this is something that we don't have in Spanish. All right. The closest that we have in Spanish is something like me hice pintar la casa. All right. That's the closest that you can have. And in English, you say, I had my house painted. All right. That's the close translation that you can have. But again, if you can understand English little by little without translations, it's great. But I'm giving you that translation because many people have a lot of difficulties with this topic. Okay, this is one of the most difficult topics for some people because there's not a specific translation. But again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. If you want to have an idea more or less what is this in Spanish, it's like saying that. All right, me hice arreglar el auto, me hice pintar la casa. All right, so in that case, you are saying that you are the subject, but you're saying that someone else did it, but you're not saying who did it. You can say it, all right, you can say that. You can say, for example, I had my house painted by, and you say who did it, but it's not necessary. All right. The idea here is that you don't have to mention the person that is performing the action, but you are saying that someone else did it by using this structure. So I want to remember, or sorry, I want to see if you remember actually some of those ideas. I know that not all of you were there on Monday. I believe it was you, Karen, and Nazarena. I don't remember very well. But this was the thing, girls. You have to be careful mainly with the present perfect and the past perfect. Why? Look at these sentences. Again, I'm sure you're going to remember. One of them is I have painted my house. The other one is sorry. And the same in the past perfect. And then all right, so that's it. So again, if you remember also the first lesson that I showed you, Karen, Michaela, and Nazarena, the first class, it was an extra lesson, right? And the lesson was, it's not what it seems, right? Sometimes English can be very different to what we think it is. Remember, you don't say in conditional, you don't say you or it was, you say it were, but only in conditional, right? In subjunctive, you don't say he is, you say he be, right? And that's very weird, right? The doctor suggests that he be a healthy right before this date, but you say he be, and that's correct. If you say he is not correct. Okay, so English has many different rules that can make the conjugation very strange, and that's advanced English. All right. So here, this is one of those things. Now, who can tell me again? Let's try to analyze this one first. What is the difference between I have painted my house? You can tell me the tense, you can tell me the meaning of the sentence, and I have, I always have my house painted. So what is the difference between those two? What do you say?
The tense, teacher, the first one is present perfect, and I think that the second one is the passive causative.
Very well. And the passive causative, what is the tense of the passive causative here? Is it present, past? What do you say?
Um, is when we use always, we mean that the sentence is like in the present, or not present, that we always do the action. So yes.
It is correct. And you can say present. It's not bad. And you're right. This is present. This is simple present. Okay. The thing is that this can be confusing, but this is not a verb. Okay. This is passive voice, but it's not the verb here. It's what happened to the house, right? The main verb is this one, have, and this is simple present. And this is the same, right? But here, this is going to be for Micaela. What do you say about these two, Micaela? What is the difference between I had painted my house before you arrived and I have, oh, sorry, here it's going to be the same. I had my house painted before you arrived. What is the difference between those two, Micaela?
Well, I understand that in the first sentence, I am doing the action, and in the second sentence, someone is doing the action.
That is correct. Now, talking about the tense, what is this tense? What is the first tense, Micaela? Is it simple present, simple past, present perfect, past perfect?
Past perfect.
Correct. It is past perfect. And what about this one, number 2? What is the tense in number 2? Or in the second example?
Is causative, but I think it's past.
Correct. It is causative and it's past, and it's only simple past because you only need to pay attention to the verb next to the subject, right? So had is simple past. Correct. Good. Okay, so be careful with that. Don't pay attention to this verb. Here, this is the passive voice of the verb, but this is not the main verb. This is the verb, and this is the action that this object received from a different person. Okay, and as you said, Karen, and you, Micaela, the first sentence in both groups is something that you do, right? I have painted the house, or my house, so I have done it. I had painted my house before you arrived, so I had done that action. But in the second example of each group, someone else did it, or someone else is doing it, right? I always have my house painted. It means that always, every time, another person paints the house for me because I pay that person to do it for me. Here also is that in the past, I paid someone else to paint the house for me. So this is something that you do every time, okay? You always pay a person to paint the house for you. But this is only specific that at that time you paid, right, someone to paint the house for you before something happened. And in this case, before you arrived. Okay, so please, you have to pay attention here to these two words, and here mainly only to this word. Here, this is the tense, and here, just that is the tense, right? Here, these two are the tense, and here, just this is the tense, right? So again, and that's introduction. Remember, we are not working this yet. We're not learning this yet. We're going to go to the lesson now, and we're going to start learning about the structure, the formula, and everything. So we're going to skip this one, this first part. We're going to repeat the definition. This is going to be for you, Nazarena, please. Let's read the definition for passive causative or a causative verb.
Okay. Definition. We use a causative verb when we want to talk about something that someone else did for us or for another person. It means that the subject caused the action to happen, but didn't do it themselves. Maybe they paid or asked or persuaded the other person to do it.
Very good. Thank you, Nazarena. We're only going to repeat these words, please, Nazarena, to practice. They are good, but there is a little detail that can be better. These two words, please.
Okay.
Exactly. Remember that this AU is only going to be like an O, and this has to be like T. So it's going to be cost. Cost.
Okay. Cost.
Exactly. And this is going to be very noticeable. This is going to be like this, sway. Okay, so persuaded.
Persuaded.
Great.
Persuaded.
Great.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Thank you, Nazarena. There you go. So that's the definition, okay? So in other words, is what we were saying. you cause someone else, right, to do something for you. So you are paying someone so that that person can perform an action for you. All right. And it's not only for you. You can give examples in third person, right? He always has his house painted. It means that he always pays someone else to paint the house for him, right? So it can be for any subject. I, we, you, they, he, she, it. But the idea is that someone else does that for them. Okay, so that's the definition. We already read that. And we also read this one, I remember. But pay attention once again to the difference. In number one, this is active. I cleaned my house, so I did it. Number two, it's passive voice. A cleaner cleaned my house, or no, this is not passive voice yet. This is like paying attention to the performer of the action, that is a cleaner. So someone else is doing the action for us, or did the action for us in this case. A cleaner cleaned my house. But another way to say this, because it's obvious that a cleaner cleaned your house, so you don't need to say, right? A cleaner cleaned my house. You don't say that in Spanish either. You say, I had my house cleaned. It means, again, that someone else did it for you. And how do you know that this is past? Because the main verb is in past. As here, it is simple past, and here it is simple past. Okay, so the three ideas are in simple past. In the first, you did the action. In the second, someone else did the action, but you mentioned who at the beginning. And in the third one, you are just saying that you made someone else do the action for you. All right, remember that. And again, that's something we already read, so it's just to refresh. Now let's go to the formulas and, well, the examples. This is for you, please, Karen. Let's read half, the formula, explanation, and the examples, please.
Okay, teacher. A have plus object plus past participle, have something done. We usually use have something done when we are talking about paying someone to do something for us. It's often used for services. The form is subject plus have plus object plus past participle. I had my car washed. John will have his house painted.
Good, thank you, Karen. So as you can see, you can use the main verb have in any tense. It can be in present, it can be in simple present, it can be in present continuous, it can be in simple past, it can be in past continuous, in present perfect, in past perfect, in simple future. In future we'd be going to with modals, okay? So you can conjugate the verb have in any tense that you want. But the thing that is not going to change is this verb in the past participle that is going to be just the passive voice, okay, the passive action that the object is receiving. So my car washed, someone else did it. His house painted, someone else did it. But the first sentence is in past and the second sentence is in future, sorry. So I'm just going to give you one example so that you see that it's easy to write this in any tense that you want. And actually, I'm going to use this example. All right. And then you write your own examples with different verbs. All right. But just see how it can change. So this is simple present, right? To change that to present continuous, you can say, I am having my house painted now. Okay. Now, why can you say I'm having? Because remember here, have is not possession. Remember, have here doesn't have a translation like in Spanish. You are just saying that now you are paying someone and that person is doing that for you. Okay, so it can be simple present, simple or present continuous. Again, it can be past, right? Past, it will be only had, then remember the condition for simple past, it has to be definite. Then if you follow the same logic, you're going to say, I was having my house painted when it started to rain, right? So you can see if you want to use different tenses, you need to use the correct words to give that clarification, to justify that you're using. If I'm using simple present, I'm going to use frequency adverbs or words like that, right? Every day, every Monday, always, sometimes. If I'm using present continuous, I have to use now, right now, at the moment, this week. If I use the simple past, I use definite past expressions. If I'm using the past continuous, I can use, remember this, I can use another action in the simple past that shows interruption of the action because it's a context, right? And finally, it can be future, all right? I'm going to do it in both cases. So I will have my house painted next week, and the same, but you say, I am going to have. So have is already there. My house painted tomorrow at 3 p.m. Okay, so again, as you can analyze over here, what you can do is always use the correct time expression so that your sentence is justified. Okay, so all of them are passive cognitive. Simple present, present continuous, simple past, past continuous, simple future, future will be going to. And you can do the same in the present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future continuous, and any tense that you have in English can be used here. All right. So with those examples, please, I'm going to make them bigger. Take them into account. Remember that actually you can see the examples right in the document. I'm going to share the document once again now. It's in the chat as always, girls. So take a look at that link. And please, I'm going to share this presentation over here. Let's write 4 examples, all right? Try to use different verbs. Sometimes it can be hard, all right? But try to use different. If you have to repeat some of them, it's going to be okay. But at least try to use 3 different verbs and you can repeat 1. All right, but I want 4 examples, 1 in present, 1 in past, 1 in future, and the last one is going to be in a perfect tense. Okay, I mean, it can be in present perfect or in past perfect. Okay, it's up to you. So one more time, say present, past, future, and a perfect tense. That can be present perfect or that can be past perfect. Okay, so those are the 4 examples. You have to use this formula, please. Have, object, and past participle. And remember that have is the verb that is conjugated in the tense that you're using. And remember also, please, don't just write examples like here. Do it like I did in the document. Give a time expression or give a context that justify why you are using this tense. All right, so Karen, do you have any questions?
Yes, teacher. So we need to do for sentence, simple past, simple present, present perfect, or we need to choose.
No, the 3, they have to be in present. So if it's present, Karen, it can be simple present or present continuous. Okay. If it's in past, it can be simple past or past continuous. Future, but the last one is going to be in a perfect tense. There, in the last one, in sentence number 4, Karen, you have to choose if you're going to write it in the present perfect or in the past perfect.
Okay. But the first sentence are going to be different.
Yes, please. They have to be, that's a good question. They have to be different in this case. I just showed you with the same sentence that you can use one idea in any tense, but your examples, please, they have to be 4 different examples. Okay, meaning different verbs and different context to give 4 different ideas. All right, good. So thanks, Karen, I forgot to clarify that. So with that said, please, girls, let's do it. It could take some time, but it's 4, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So in the 5 minutes, please, one more time, very shortly. 1 sentence with this structure in the present. It can be simple present or present continuous. 1 sentence in the past. It can be simple past or past continuous. One sentence in the future, it can be simple future or future with be going to. And one sentence in the perfect tense, it means it can be present perfect or it can be past perfect. But remember, if you want to use those tenses, you have to use the correct time expressions: today, tomorrow, yesterday, when you called me, all right? And you have to use a good context, mainly if you're going to use the past perfect. Okay, so let's do it, please. I'm going to start the timer now. Let's have 5 minutes and we check. And please, once again, as Karen mentioned, they have to be 4 different examples. Okay, not the same example. They have to be different. It means a different verb, a different action, a different context, and different time expressions. Okay, so it's the 5 minutes. Let's take a look at your example so that we can continue. Remember, it was a total of 4 different examples, okay? Different examples using this formula, okay? Have, that in this case means that you're paying someone to do something for you. And you were supposed to use 4 different tenses, right? Present in the variations that it has, past in its variations, future, also the possibilities that you have, and perfect tenses that can be present perfect continuous, past perfect. Okay, so let's take a look again at what you got so that we can continue working and we can see if you have some questions. All right, so you're working with those details. All right, good. So I think you're ready with yours. Michaela, this is yours. Let's read your examples, please.
Okay, I have my breakfast made every morning. We had the warehouse cleaned just yesterday. You will have your phone fixed for next week. They were going to have the reservation done tomorrow in the morning.
Great. Thank you very much, Michaela. So the only details that you have there is that instead of for, you say by, okay? In English, you say by next week. And instead of in the morning, you don't need to say that. You only say done tomorrow morning. Or you can also say by tomorrow morning, right? So we're going to change those details next week or by next week if you want. And here, done tomorrow morning, or here you can use by tomorrow morning if it's before that. Okay, so you don't say tomorrow in the morning. If you say tomorrow directly morning, or you say, for example, Monday morning, Monday afternoon, or you simply say without mentioning the day, in the morning or in the afternoon, right? But only if you don't mention the specific date. So good. I have my breakfast made every morning. I had my warehouse cleaned just yesterday. All right. I will have your phone fixed by next week. And they were going to have the reservation done by tomorrow morning, or tomorrow morning simply, it's also good here. But something happened, right? Here you can clarify that one, because actually this is a, oh, sorry, actually you're missing one. Michaela, let me check. You have present, you have past, you have future, and this is actually a future in the past, right? And it's very good. But here, remember, you need to say something like, however, right? So you need a context here, Michaela. However, they couldn't. Okay, because, sorry, something happened. All right, I'm just making that up. So this is very general, but you need to give a reason why. So you're missing only one, Michaela. You're going to write it, please. It has to be in the perfect tense. Okay, and remember, perfect tenses are present perfect, I have done, she has done, and present perfect continuous, she has been going, they have been studying, or past perfect, they had finished that before you arrived, they had studied after, or sorry, by the time they started to work, right? So one example, please, Michaela, in any perfect tense, present perfect continuous, or past perfect continuous. Everything else is very well. I don't know if you have any questions, Michaela, before you write that sentence.
Yes, I think the last sentence was a past perfect. Maybe if I use they were going to have the reservation done by tomorrow morning, is okay?
No, actually, if you remember, if you have infinitive, you never use conjugations. It's always the base verb. It's always going to be have, okay? It cannot change. Remember that this is future in the past, okay? This is future in the past. Perfect, Michaela, perfect tense is again have plus past participle. I have seen, I have finished, I have done, right? That's present perfect. Present perfect continuous is I have been doing, I have been working. Or in this case, you can say they have been working, they have been doing. And the past perfect is had. It's they had started, or they had had, you can also say. And actually, in this case, your only possibility is have, right? So you're only going to be able to say they have had, they have been having, or they had had. Those are the only possibilities there, Michaela, because those are the three perfect tenses that you have. You also have the past perfect continuous, which is they had been having, but for that one, you need a very good context. All right, also for the present, for the past perfect. So I don't know if you have questions now about that. The past perfect is again had, and the present perfect is have had. All right, but this one, this is not the past perfect. This is the future in the past.
Sorry, what is the sentence that I missed?
That one, you need a sentence with one of those options that I gave you, Michaela. I have had, I have been having, or I had had. Or you can change that with any tense. Okay, you're missing.
Okay, no, thank you.
Okay, no, you're welcome. Let's go with you, please, Karen. Let's read your examples, please.
He always has a breakfast made. I had clothes bought last week. She is going to have a haircut tomorrow morning. They had their car fixed before their mother noticed.
Good. This one is only going to be straight, so the pronunciation is only going to be like E. So noticed. Let's repeat that one, please.
Notice.
Great. Remember that breakfast is uncountable, right? So you don't say a breakfast, you only say breakfast in this case. Okay, so he always has breakfast made. Okay, someone else does that for him or makes that for him, right? I had clothes both last week. It means that someone, okay, or you paid someone to buy the clothes for you. And it's very, very possible and it's correct. Then future, she's going to have a haircut tomorrow. But remember, this is not this is only future canon, right? This is not a passive causative. Because I know that here someone else is going to do that for her, but you're not clarifying that because you're only saying she's going to have a haircut tomorrow, right? But you can say the following. She's going to have hair cut tomorrow morning. Okay, sorry. My mistake. Cut tomorrow morning. Here you are saying that she's going to have, remember, this is what you always need again. You need the main verb, you need the main object, and in this case you're talking about the hair, and then you need the verb in the past participle, right? If you only say she's going to have a haircut, it's correct, it's logic, and we understand that someone else is going to do that for her, but it's not passive causative, it's only active voice. To make passive causative, you need an object, and then you need another verb, always another verb in the past participle, like here, right? Made, here, bought, here, I changed that to cut, and here, fixed, right? That will be my only observation over there. Here, they had their car fixed, and this is not bad, but this is only past, right? But remember that you need a sentence, Karen, in the perfect form. And the perfect form is present perfect or past perfect. So what do you think you need to add in number 4? What do you need to change to make it perfect, Karen? Because now this is simple past. Number 4 is simple past.
Okay. The verb, I need to change.
Yes, it is correct, the verb, because remember, your only verb is the have. Here, has tells me that this is simple present. Here, had tells me that this is simple past. Yeah, tell me.
I need add the part of the verb have in this tense?
Yes, actually, you need to conjugate. Remember, imagine that this is your verb. They have. Now, how do you conjugate have in past? Right? How do you conjugate have in future? Will have. How do you conjugate have in past continuous? Was having. In present continuous, am having, or is having, or are having, right? So how do you conjugate have in the present perfect, Karen?
With had, have.
The opposite, right? If it's a present perfect, it's going to be have had, right? But because of the context you say before their matter noticed, then this has to be in the past perfect. So what is the past perfect of have?
Have.
Close. Remember, if the present perfect is have had, what is the past perfect of have? What could it be? Remember?
Had.
Had. Exactly. Had is the auxiliary. So you always, okay, always, because remember, you need to pay attention. Don't pay attention to this word, okay? This is the past participle, but this is only passive voice, okay? It's going to be like that. Here you have passive voice, here you have passive voice, and here you have passive voice. So you thought that this is the verb. That's why you say they had their car fixed, okay? This was your example. But this is simple past. The past perfect is going to be they had their car fixed before their mother noticed. What is the difference between had and had? That remember, had is past perfect, and had is always the first event in the past. So they had their car fixed before their mother noticed. It's also correct if you only use the simple past as you're doing here, but remember that the most formal way, if you want to make clear that this is the first action, and the most formal conjugation, if you want to talk about the past of the past, that is the past perfect. Okay, so in the case here, you're using past perfect. So if you notice, have here is conjugated in the future would be going to. Had here is only simple past, and have here is conjugated in the first person, and it's with the S, so it means that this is simple present. All right, so only first pay attention to the verb, the conjugation of the verb, then you always need an object, breakfast, clothes, her hair, their car. Then you need the verb that is the passive voice, that the object is receiving that action, made, bought, cut, and fixed. All right. And finally, here we're going to change this because it's going to create confusion. All right. And then you need the rest of the information using the correct, there you go, using the correct time expressions. All right. So I don't know if you have any questions about that one, Karen. Let me know, please.
No, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you. Nazarena, let's go with you now, please. Let's read your ideas and we're going to see how they are.
Okay, teacher. She always has her garden good and watered. His mom had her new car refurbished last month. Micaela will have her hair rehydrated when goes to the hairdresser. We had the house refurbished when the family arrived.
Thank you very much, Nazarena. Again, only one detail. I think these are great verbs. Watered is a very, very good verb. Refurnished also, it's very good. This one as well, okay? But repeat this word, please, Nazarena. This is going to be rehydrated.
Rehydrated.
Rehydrated, exactly, right? So you can be hydrated, you can be dehydrated, you can be overhydrated, but if you're going to do something to your hair so that it's moistured, right, hydrated, then you say rehydrated, okay? And here you need a subject that is going to be one more time, when she goes, or you can say when going to the hairdresser. Okay,
Oh.
but it's better if you repeat that one. All right, when she. Now, here, this is the main thing that I want to pay attention to, Nazarena. Your sentences are very good, as Karen's were, but you made the same mistake as Karen. All right, so what is that? Remember here, this is present, right? So how do you conjugate have in the third person? Has, right? Correct. This is simple present. Now, this is past, right? What is the past of have? Had. So good. This is simple past. Remember, these are not the verbs. Okay, this is just passive voice. These are not the verbs. These are the verbs. Has, so simple present. Had, so simple past. Will have, great. So this is future. Now here, you only have had. And what is had? Simple past, right? This is not the past perfect. What is the past perfect of have in Nazarena? Remember, we were taking a look at that with Karen. What is the past perfect of had?
Had been.
Had been,
No.
could be, yes, it's okay. And in had been, what is the auxiliary in had been? Because had been is the past perfect of be, of the verb to be, right? If had been is the past perfect of the verb to be, what is the past perfect of the verb have?
Had.
Had is the auxiliary. And what is the past participle of have?
Had.
Exactly. If you don't say had, it's not past perfect. It's only simple past. Okay. The first had is the auxiliary, and the second had is the verb.
Oh, okay.
So we had the house refurnished. Okay, here I think it's going to be a different one. When the family arrived. Now it is going to be considered as the past perfect. Okay, had. So I don't know if you have any questions about that in Nazarena.
No, teacher, thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Teacher,
And we're going.
sorry.
For this kind of, sorry, teacher, always
Yeah.
for this kind of sentences, we to past perfect, we have to use had, right? Or
You have to
for
use had.
example, for present perfect can be have had or has had.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
Always.
Okay, teacher.
And here always had because the main verb is always have, right? But if the main verb, for example, is make, it will be had made. Okay, if the main verb is be, it will be had been. So here, as in this case, you have to use have. It's always going to be had, or as you said very well, Nazarena, if it's present perfect, it's going to be have had. Okay, so it is correct.
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Good. No, you're welcome. And Karen, you were asking something. Tell me, please.
Yes, teacher. It's about a word in one sentence of Nazarena. I don't know. I can read. Oh, it's
Yes.
rebu. No, reburbish.
Refurnished. So here, actually, I want to check also this one with you, Nazarena. There's one, but I want to see if this is the one that I believe, Nazarena. You have one that is furnish. Furnish, when you refurnish something, it means that you are remodeling something, that you can be painting, for example, your stuff, your furniture, right? If you remember, the meaning of furniture is, for example, your closet, right? Your bookcase, all right? Your night table, okay? So those are your furnishes. And when you refurnish something, can be to remodel that one. But actually, that actually was going to be one of my observations, and I didn't do it. Is that this be? But I want to verify here in Nazarena. Is this word that you're using with this be over here, or are you saying refurnished with N over there? What are you saying?
Yeah, I understand you, teacher. I don't know how to say it in English, but it's when you fix your car, I think.
Okay, so I believe that here we're going to be changing that to refurnished. All right. So what is going to be the difference between actually the other one I thought it was going to be something similar, but again, remember the furnish or the furniture in your house is everything that you got. When you refurnish that, it means that, as Nazarena said, you remodel, you fix that, you paint it, you do something to that object so that now it looks like new. Okay, so if you have your car refurnished, you're doing the same. Remember, your car has many parts, right? You have the wheels there, you have many different things, the speedometer and details, the seats, the seat belts. So those are things that can be refurnished. And again, that's like remodeling, repainting, or doing something to fix that in a certain way. Okay, so we're going to change that to refurnish again. So that would be it. I don't know if that helps in your case, Nazarena, and also in your case, Karen, understanding the meaning.
Yeah, teacher, thank you.
Good. No, you're welcome. And what do you say, Karen? Do you get that verb now?
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, good. No, you're welcome. Now, please, Micaela, let's go to your last example.
Okay. I already did the sentence, but I think I have a error. My sentence is I have had the document checked by my boss. I think my compliment is bad.
Okay, let's listen. What is your compliment? Because so far, actually, this is great. And remember that for the present, in your case, this is present perfect. Remember that the present perfect doesn't always need a time expression. So if you don't have any time expressions or any complements, your sentence in this case is very good. Okay, that's an advantage of the present perfect. The present perfect is indefinite past, is an specific past. So you don't need to say anything that says when it happened. If you say when, it is going to be incorrect, okay? Your possible complements here, Micaela, can be times, numbers of times that it happened. For example, you can say, I have had the document checked. Here you can say by my boss, because you can mention, as I said at the beginning, Micaela, you can mention the agent of this action. It's optional, but it's okay if you mention it. And it's great that you're giving this example because you're showing that if you want to mention the agent, you say by. Okay, so it's good, but you can say, I have had the document checked by my boss twice, 3 times, 4 times. That's an option for the present perfect. Or you can say before. That's a good idea for the present perfect. Or you can say for 1 week. That's also an alternative for the present perfect. Okay, so, but saying by my boss, it's a good option that you can add to the passive causative. Remember, it's not obligatory because you don't always want to mention who did it. That's the idea of using the passive causative. But if you do it, it's not bad. Okay, actually, it's a good addition. All right, so I don't know if you have any questions about that or any other comments, Micaela.
So we can mention the agent if the context is a context like allow it.
Yes, if the context allows it, right? If it allows it, you can use. And remember, instead of agent, it's going to be only a agent. Yes, you can mention the agent, and actually, it depends on you, Miguel. For example, if you say something like this, I have had my house painted by a painter. Is it a good idea to say that by a painter? We know that it's a painter, so there is not necessity in saying a painter. But here, if you say, I have had my document checked, anybody can check your documents. So if you say my boss, actually, it's a good addition. Okay, so if it's a good addition, if it says something that we didn't expect, mention the agent. But if the agent is obvious, because a painter paints, a hairdresser cuts. Okay, if the agent is very obvious and it's very general, don't mention it. If the agent is unique and you believe it's a good idea to mention the agent, you can do it. All right, that's more or less the logic that you have to follow. I don't know if that helps, Micaela.
Okay, thank you, teacher. I understand now.
Good. No, you're very welcome, and it's good. Okay, it's a great sentence. Thank you very much. So that's it, Carlos. Again, I told you it is a simple structure, but it can be very confusing sometimes. And mainly when you mix this with the perfect tenses, right? Present perfect, past perfect. Be careful with those two. All right, you made some mistakes over there. They are not big mistakes, but you have to pay attention to that if you, again, want to avoid those little details. So let's take a look at the next part. Because if you remember the first lesson, this is a very similar expression. Now you have the verb get. You're going to use it in the same way. But remember, what is the difference between have and get? Very easy. Have is for professional service, right? Remember that one. You learned that in the first lesson. Professional service, you pay someone, right? Because you want that person to do something for you. But get is first is less formal, and it's not always related to a professional service, right? So that's very important. The meaning is going to be the same, but it's less formal and not always in a professional service. Okay, not always, but again, use it here as a synonym. In this case, Karen, Micaela, and Nazarena have and get are the same. Remember, there is not going to be a translation. It is going to be the same. The first idea that I gave you in Spanish, that's the only closed idea that you have in our language, right? Me hice hacer or hice hacer algo. But it's the same for have. It's the same for get. Just remember, you have to just think in English this time and think that this is formal and this is less formal. All right, the structure is exactly the same. Subject, right, plus get, plus object, plus past. But let's read this together, actually. You did it last time, Karen. So, Micaela, this is for you. Read everything, please, Micaela.
Okay, get plus object plus past participle, get something done. We can also use subject plus get plus object plus past participle. This has the same meaning as have, but is less formal. Also, it means that someone caused something to happen, not in a professional way necessary. The students always get their essay checked. He got his washing machine fixed.
Great, thank you very much. Great, so here, if you analyze, the students are not paying. In a certain way, they can be paying for the school, right? But they are not paying to have their essays checked. They are just assuring that someone, can be a professor or any other professional, can do that, okay? And not always paying again. It can be just a relationship. Of course, you can be paying the school or university, but you're just making sure that the professor is doing that. All right, so the students always get their essays checked. It's the same as have, but less formal. He got his washing machine fixed. The same as have, but less formal. All right, it can be professional or not necessarily, but the meaning is exactly the same. So let's not complicate with this one. We're going to work with less examples, but I want to practice actually the examples that I believe that you have to practice. It's going to be 3. All right, 3 examples, but I want to see again that you get the conjugation in the present perfect and in the past perfect. So first, tell me if you have any questions. Get can be conjugated in any tense, present, past, future, perfect tenses, the same as have. All right, so do you have any questions?
Teacher, if we want to use get I don't know, in the future tense, be going to, or for example, in the past perfect, we maintain the verb get, or we change?
You change it as you did with have, right? Remember the verb here was have. right? But remember that have has only one conjugation. That's an advantage. What is the past of have? The simple past, had. The past participle, had. So if you want to use the base form, you know that you only need to follow the rules, Karen. Remember, in future, if you use will, what is the rule with will? The verb after any modal is always in the base form. So you say will have. If you have get, also the base form, will get. Then, if you have simple past, the rule says that you have to conjugate the verb in simple past in affirmative sentences. What is the simple past of have? Had. What is the simple past of get? Got. Right? Now, if you work with past tenses, Karen, the two past tenses, either they are simple or continuous, they always say that you need the auxiliary have, has, or had, plus the main verb, which in this case was had. Okay, so that's why you say had or have had, or in this case, it's get. Okay, I'm not going to remind you, but the past participle of get is not got. It's going to be a different one. Remember that I told you the difference. You have the past participle got, but it's not for any sentence. It's only for some expressions, right? You need to use the correct past participle of get. All right, so you have to remember that one, and it means that you have to conjugate the past, the perfect tenses with the auxiliaries have or has plus get in past participle, and then the object, and then the past participle. Remember that this is not the verb. This is just an action conjugated in the past participle. The main verb and your verb in this sentence is get. Here is get, and as you can see, get is conjugated in simple past because this sentence is in simple past. All right, so again, you have to only follow the rules, Karen. If you use future, follow those rules. If you use past, follow the same rules. If you use present or perfect tenses, you have to use always the past participle of the main verb that you have, and in this case, the past participle of get. All right, I don't know if that helps or if you have any more questions.
No, teacher. We need to do only three sentences.
Yes, and actually, I'm going to give you the tenses now. Exactly, 3 sentences. So the tenses, please, the 3 sentences are 1 in simple past, 1 in present perfect, and the third one in past perfect. All right? And please remember, it's a good idea that you use good time expressions and a correct context. Remember that at least for the past perfect, you need a good context, because remember that the past perfect is the past of the past. The present perfect is indefinite past. You can use time expressions like number of times, periods of time, and simple past is the definite past. All right, so it means that you have to use definite time expressions. Yesterday, last week, last year, 2 years ago, etc. Okay, so the 3 sentences are in past, girls. One more time. 1 in simple past, 1 in present perfect, and 1 in past perfect. And the 3 of them are past tenses. All right, so let's do it, please, once again. You can reuse some verbs, or again, you have the freedom of check some verbs on your own. Let's do it, please. We're going to have 4 minutes for that one. Nazarena, do you have a question?
Yeah, teacher, sorry. So 1 past.
In simple past, 1 in simple past, 1 in present perfect, and 1 in past perfect. Okay, remember that I'm going to give you example with different verbs. Simple past is I went to the party. Present perfect is I have gone to the party. And past perfect is I had gone to the party before you called me. Okay, so it has to be in those tenses, but all of them we get. Okay, now you're welcome. Let's do it, please. Let's have again, we're going to have 4 minutes for this one. We don't have a lot of verbs here. So if you get these 2 exercises, you are great with with passive causative. Let's do it, please. 4 minutes and we check, girls. All right, so it's 4 minutes. Let's take a look at that. Remember, this is get. I'm going to show you, all right, the rest of it, and that's it, okay? So you have, again, these two, you have everything. And with this, we're finishing the lesson, and we are going to work on the introduction and the beginning of the next one, that is the last one, that we're going to finish on Monday. On Monday, we finish that lesson, we practice a little bit, we have debate, and that's going to be it for the course, right? So let's take a look at your ideas. You're still finishing yours. I think you have yours. I'm not sure. Nazarena, this is yours. Yes, Nazarena, you have yours ready. Let's read your examples, please.
Okay, teacher, I'm sorry. Mm, okay, the boss has gotten her coffee prepared at the office all mornings during 1 year. His family got their tickets for the concert paid this morning. Mariano had gotten his documents signed when he was at the university.
Great. Thank you very much, Nazarena. Good. Okay, only a few details. Remember, instead of all mornings, because all is more used like to describe how complete something is. Every morning. Okay, it's here, it's going to be like every morning during 1 year, or here the option is for 1 year. So actually, if you're going to use here, this is, what tense is this one? Nazarena has gotten. Is it the past perfect, the present perfect, or the simple past?
Present perfect.
The present perfect, right? And remember that the present perfect is used for indefinite past, for periods of time, or for well, things that happen in the past that can still happen in the present, right? And one of the expressions that you always use, remember, two very common expressions are since and for. That's why here they want you to use for, because the best expression that you can use for the present perfect, Nazarena, is for. Okay, so I have worked for 1 year. I have studied for 5 years. And here, my boss has gotten her coffee prepared, good, for 1 year. Okay, every morning for 1 year. Why? Because this is the best alternative for the present perfect. All right, here, this is simple past. In the simple past, you use this morning, today, and so on, if you use the past, the present perfect. But this is the simple past, and here this is going to ask you first only that one, but the best option here is going to be only to say in the morning or last morning, okay? Only if you have got, because remember, got is past, and it's something that already happened. This morning can be past, but the best option, again, it's going to be the last morning, or again, in the morning directly, okay, without mentioning the specific time and without saying that it's part of today. All right, so why? Because this is the past, the simple past, or the past simple. And this is the past perfect, right? So Mariano had gotten his document signed when he was at the university. All right, good. It means that it happened before he got to the university, perhaps. All right, because remember that this is always the first action. So those are my only recommendations there, Nazarena. I think everything is working very good. I don't know if you have any questions about get in the passive causative.
Okay, teacher. So for present perfect have to be for, and what is the other conjunction?
It can be since, okay,
Since,
for or since.
and for the past,
it has to be always time expressions that finished. For example, yesterday, last week, the last morning, or in the morning, but you don't clarify again that it's part of today. It has to be something in the past. Okay, so the best options are last, ago, and only mentioning, for example, the day, last Monday, last Friday, last year, etc. Okay, last ago and a definite expression time in the past.
Oh, so here can be his document signed last year.
Here, right? Remember, this is the simple past. That was for number 6.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I was asking for the past perfect. Oh, sorry, teacher.
Yes, no, for the simple past is that one. No, for the past perfect, remember, it's always
This is the
the
past
past of the
perfect.
past.
Oh,
Exactly.
so past perfect.
Exactly. For the past perfect is always the past of the past. So what you have there is correct, when. But
Okay.
remember that you're going to mention that the past perfect is the first action and the second action after when has to be the second action. So here, when he was, actually, this is not going to be bad, but it's not going to be the best option. It's better if you say that another action finished before, or sorry, after this action. So it can be, for example, Mariano had gotten his document signed when he, or when someone else, okay, well, you can say when his sister, I don't know, right, ran into him on the street, or when his sister called him, or when his mother, all right,
Or
told
when
him to come.
maybe when his sister went to the university.
Okay, yes, it means that it happened before that one. Exactly. So the first action is Mariano had gotten his document signed, and the second action is that his sister went to the university. Okay, so that's the way to use the past perfect, correct. Always the first action is the past perfect, and the second action is the simple past. Okay, and remember that you can use when, that you can use by the time, you can use after, and you can use before. Okay, after, before, when, and by the time are good time expressions, and they have to be followed, all of them, with the simple past except for after, right? After has to be with the past perfect. I don't know if you have any questions about that, Nazarena.
No, teacher. Now it's clear. Thank you so much.
Great, no, you're welcome. There you go. I'm going with you now, please, Micaela. Let's read your examples, please.
Okay, Maria got her travel postponed before the civic strike. They finally have got all the personnel vaccinated. I had gotten my bedroom organized yesterday.
Great. Now remember, the difference between personal and personal is that personal is intimate, private, and personal is the people that work in a place. Here you need personal. All right? That's going to be personal. With again, you say, no, I can tell you that because this is personal. This is mine. Okay, this is intimate. I cannot tell you that. But you say with NNEL, the personal is again the employees working in an institution, right? So you can say the personnel of this university, right, had their, I don't know, had themselves checked because of COVID-19. Okay, so it's going to be like this. But besides that, got her travel postponed. Okay, good. It means, but here, remember, someone else did that for her. And it's good. Before the civic strike. All right. Then finally have got. Great. Remember here, let me check. They finally have got, or you have a tense, Michaela, that it's composed of two parts, the auxiliary and the verb. Is better to have the this is the adverb in the middle. All right, so it's better here if you say they have finally. And remember, got, this is important, got is the past participle only in some expressions, Michaela, like I have got a bicycle, or you have to, you have got to do it. It means for imperatives and for possession. Okay, if not, remember you have to use the real past participle, that is gotten. All right, got is only in a few situations the past participle. In the rest of the ideas, in a real situation, it has to be with gotten. Okay, so they have finally gotten all the personnel vaccinated. Good. And here the same, right? And here you got gotten, which is very good. I have gotten my bedroom reorganized. This is not going to be correct, actually. Remember that yesterday is for simple past. The past perfect is only the past of the past, all right? So you can say by yesterday. It means before yesterday, okay? You don't mention something specific in the past perfect. You mention that something happened before something else, not exactly at what time, before that exact time. Okay, so by yesterday, by last week, by the time you called me, that's why you have always a things referring to the idea that it happened before that. All right, so those are my corrections there and my recommendations. Michaela, let me know if you have any questions about them.
It's clear, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, no, you're welcome. Thank you very much. And let's finish up with you, please, Karen. Let's read your examples over here.
Okay. He got his dog's walk last Sunday. I have gotten my passport registered several times. I had gotten my nails made when you called me.
Okay, good, great. Again, the only detail here is the capital letter, right? But that's not important here. So I think it's working great. I think it's working very good. This is the simple past, and you have an expression, last Sunday. This is the present perfect, and you have an expression related to number of times, which is very good for the past perfect as well, sorry, for the present perfect, as using for or since, right? As I said to Nazarena, this is an alternative also, and it's very good. And had gotten, you're using when, and you're using the simple past, so it means that it happened before this other action, right? So I think it's working great over there, Karen, as well. I don't know if you have any questions about have or has in the passive causative. Let me know, please.
No, teacher.
All right, great. Thank you very much. So with that, you're done, okay? And you're ready to work on the exercises in case you didn't. Remember once again that you still have time to finish this lesson and this unit entirely until Monday, 11:59 p.m. But this is a good way to practice. All right, I think that you got it very well. Just remember one more time, don't try to translate these ideas. There is an approximation, but it's not exactly the same. Try to use these two structures when you want to say that you paid someone, or in a certain way you made someone, all right, do something for you. Okay, so that is the lesson. And as I told you, at least we're going to try to work. This is the last lesson now that we're going to finish on Monday. But let's start working on this now. Remember that you worked the first part with me last week, reported speech for imperatives. But now you need to work reported speech for all the other tenses. And I already gave you some rules. I don't know if you remember, but let's see if you remember first what reported speech is. And I'm going to start with you, please, Nazarena. When you read reported speech, what comes to your mind? What is this lesson about?
When you say something to somebody about something that other person is talking about.
Correct. Instead of other person, right? Of another person is talking about. Good. It is correct. Is when you are using someone else's words, right? When you are using someone else's words. And you said, right? The professor said, or my father said, or Karen said that, right? Reported the speech. Good. Okay, that's enough. Again, as this is going to be the introduction, we're going to see this little by little. Let's take a look at the definition with you, please, Michaela.
Okay, definition. We use reported speech when we want to tell someone what someone said. We usually use a reporting verb, e.g. say, tell, ask, and then change the tense of what was actually said in direct speech.
Great, thank you very much, Michaela. So remember then that reported speech is changing the words, it's changing the tense, it's changing everything. So direct speech, I don't know if you remember direct speech. Actually, I'm going to ask you that one. Let's say, no, those are going to be examples. Actually, let me show you this. But I am going to ask you this, Karen. This is reported speech. But besides reported speech, we have direct speech. In direct speech, Karen, we have to use the exact words. We don't have to change anything. What rules do you remember in punctuation for direct speech, Karen? And try to give me an example, please.
Okay. Okay. I need to put the context of the sentence, or I only.
No, in this case, you can directly give me the example, but you need to use the correct punctuation, right? If you use direct speech, if you want to use the correct words and the exact words, you have to use some punctuation marks, right? So the main thing is that you tell me who said that and how you introduce the exact words.
Okay. 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 She said, I need a comma, double dashes, maybe dashes, I don't know. Make your homework or go to sleep.
Good, it's good, but remember to that one, you want to say like the comillas, right?
Uh-huh.
Remember, dash is going to be like this, right? This is the
Yes.
dash, right? So it's going to be quotation marks.
Yeah, quotations.
Good, exactly. So comma, quotation marks, and what do you need? Where is the period at the end, Karen? Is it inside the quotation marks or outside the
Inside.
quotation?
Inside.
Very good. There you go. Thank you, Karen. So great. That is direct speech. All right. For example, Karen said, comma, quotation marks, right? I have to go. I have to go early. Period, quotation mark, right? Or I can say, Micaela told us, comma, quotation marks, capital letter, always capital letter, right? I have to finish my assignments this weekend. Okay, I have to finish my assignments this weekend. Period, quotation mark. All right, so let's try that. Again, this is for practicing and introducing. We only have 9 minutes, but it's a good idea that we introduce that idea for Monday. So we're going to use Micaela. So, right, Micaela told us, comma, quotation mark. All right, I have to do, or I have to finish assignment this weekend. Period, quotation mark. All right, my keyword is a different one. So this is direct speech. Now, if I ask you, now I'm going to go to you, Nazarena. What would it be then the indirect speech? If this is the direct speech for what Micaela told us, how do you change this direct speech to indirect speech, Nazarena? An indirect speech means that you have to change the tenses according to the main tense of the verb over here, and you have to change some words to make it more yours, all right? But it's still Micaela's words. So one more time, Nazarena, how do you change this direct speech into an indirect speech?
Okay, teacher. Micaela said that she has to finish her assignments in the following weekend. No, this weekend.
Okay, good. I think that the logic is good. But one thing, and again, this is only going to be grammar, Nazarena, because if you said that, it's very good. But according to the grammar, if this is past, it means that this action already happened. Okay, imagine that this happened. And we're going to imagine that Micaela said that last week. All right. So what else? The exercise was very good, but now you need to change the verb, and you need to change the time expression to a different one. So one more time, imagine that this happened 1 week ago. How do you say that?
Micaela said she had to finish her assignments the weekend before, or that weekend.
Good. That weekend is very good, or last weekend, but that weekend I think is better. Great. Micaela, and you can keep the verb, right? You don't need to change it. You can say said, or you can keep told us, right?
Okay.
So you can say, Micaela told us, so let's do it. I think it was great, Nazarena. Thank you very much. I'm going to copy your ideas. So told us that, of course, we don't say I.
No, she had.
Correct. Exactly. Look, and here they are correcting that one, but it's going to be past.
She
Had
had
to finish
her
assignment. And here you said that weekend, right? Or remember that there's an alternative, and what can it be? Last weekend. But that weekend is very good. But just to show the alternative, it can be that, or it can be last, because if it happened 1 week ago, it means that you can also say last weekend, and it's going to be correct.
Okay.
All right. So good. Thank you, Nazarena. It is correct. Great. So there you go. So this is directed speech, right? And this is indirect. Sorry, here we don't need any quotation marks. My mistake. Indirect speech. And you have to do what a Nazarena did now. You need to change what? First, I want to use different things. So italic. The subject, if it's I, changes to she, right? If it's simple present, it changes to what? To simple past. If you have a possessive, you have to, of course, arrange that, and you need to use possessive for the new subject. And if you have this, if you have present reference, you have to change that to past reference. That weekend, okay, that weekend, that's away from you, or last weekend, or it depends when it happened. If it happened 2 weeks ago, you can say 2 weeks ago. All right, but it's better if you don't make that change that it's going to be unnecessary. Only that. Okay, this to that, today to yesterday, and so on and so forth. If it's future, you can say, as Nazarena, I think you tried to say it right, but only if it's future, the following weekend, right? If it's next weekend, you say the following weekend. But you're going to see that again. Now we're going to finish with this. I'm going to show you one more element that you know that you can use these verbs. Okay, set. Well, actually, let's read only the base verb. You can use say, tell, state, and declare. But you have many other verbs. And how do you find that one? If you look for the synonyms of say, you can find many options. Okay, but these are the 4 most common ones. They give the same idea. Okay, here they are giving the exact same idea, that someone said something. Okay, so someone said that, someone told me that, someone stated that, someone declared that. And just reading this is going to be the last thing for today. And we're going to do this with you, please. Actually, with 2 people. The first part is for you, please, Karen. Read that part, okay? The simple present and the present continuous, direct the speech and report to the speech.
Okay, teacher. Tense, present simple, direct speech. I like ice cream. Report to the speech. She said that she liked ice cream. Past simple. A present continuous. I am living in London. She said that she was living in London. Past continuous.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. So easy, right? If the direct speech is I and simple present, then you change that to the, of course, who said that? She. So you change that to she, and you change the verb to simple past. So simple present goes to simple past. And on the other side, if it's present continuous, then you have to change it to what? To the past continuous. And it's very logic, right? So present simple goes to past simple. Present continuous goes to past continuous. Let's take a look at the next part. What happens with the past simple and the present perfect? And this is for you, Micaela, please. Past simple and present perfect.
Okay, past simple, direct speech, I bought a car. Report speech, she said that she had bought a car. Past perfect. Present perfect, I haven't seen Julie. She said that she has seen Julie. Past perfect.
Thank you very much, Micaela. So in both cases, past perfect. If it's simple past or past simple, it goes to past perfect. If it's present perfect, it goes to past perfect. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's simple past or present perfect. Both of them, they have to be referred back in past perfect. So I bought a car changes to she had bought a car. I haven't seen Julie changes to she hadn't seen Julie. All right, so we're going to keep with this one. And again, I know we're on time, it's 25, so I'm just going to ask you one thing to each of you. I'm going to start with you, Nazarena. If this is you have to report my speech, okay? If I say, and you can say it, right? Luis said that, so I say, I went to the store yesterday. I went to the store yesterday. How do you say that in report to speech, Nazarena?
You say, sorry, again, teacher?
Yes, I went to the store yesterday.
Okay. He had gone to the store yesterday and the day before.
The day before. Perfect. Great. Very good. The day before. And you can say, right? Luis said that he went to the store the day before. Perfect. Thank you, Nazarena. Very good. And the next one is for you, Karen. And my sentence is, they have, okay, no, actually, we have started our project, let's say, just that one, okay? With that one, it's better no time expression. So one more time, we have started our project. How can you report that speech?
Okay, they say they have studied. It's studied or which
it's going to be started. One more time, and remember, it's going to be, we have started our project.
Okay. They said they have started with their project.
Good. Only one question. How do you spell have? You're using a verb, right? Are you using the past perfect or the present perfect? Okay. Are you saying have started or are you saying had started?
Have.
But remember, the rule says that if it's present, exactly. So one more time, how could it be? We have started our project.
Okay, they had started their project.
Exactly. They said that they had started their project, right? Good. Thank you, Karen. Again, this is just an approximation to what we're going to be doing. And finally, Micaela, to finish, if I say I am traveling, all right, I am traveling to the US right now. Okay, I am traveling to the US right now. How do you report that speech, Micaela?
He said that he was traveling in that moment.
Good. Instead of in, you're going to say at that moment. Correct. He said that he was traveling to the United States at that moment. okay, at that moment. Good. That is correct. Thank you, Micaela. So thank you, girls. Karen, Micaela, Nazarena. What you said is correct. Just remember this one, okay? If it's past simple and if it's present perfect, it's always going to be past perfect, okay? So simple past goes to past perfect and present perfect goes to past perfect. Don't forget about that. You have more, but again, remember that today is the introduction. You are going to write a lot of examples on Monday about this. All right, because we have a second part that we're going to finish on Monday. Because remember, we have one more class that is our last class to finish this presentation, plus an extra practice to finish with the course. And that's it on my side. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, I am going to ask you, please, as I always do, to fill out the survey for today's class, right? So again, let me know if you have any questions. If not, enjoy your weekend. Try to work on your assignments, please. And if you want, you can take the final test, but you can do it on Monday if not. All right. Have a nice weekend. See you on Monday, girls.
Thank you, teacher.
teacher.
Bye, teacher. Bye, girls. See you
Bye-bye.
Monday.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
See you Monday.
Good night. Bye-bye.